Hey girl, what you doing? Welcome to the what?
Be Everything and More podcast.
Hey girl, what you doing? Welcome to the Be Everything and More podcast, baby. It's my wife's podcast. I'm Dee. She references me in the podcast. So now you have a reference. Let's fucking go!
I know you gotta do your clap shit.
Be Everything and More, yeah.
I really don't. Welcome back to the Be Everything and More podcast. I'm so excited you're here because today I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite thing ever, community. And not just any community, but the Beam Life community. Here's the thing that I was so inspired on why to bring this up today is I was having breakfast with my partner, and my partner Dee and I have been together 6 years, and that is the same length of time as the Beam Life, right? So they have seen it, all the ups, all the downs, all the growth, all the pivot, and they've attended 2 international retreats with me. And then most recently, they attended the first business retreat that I held at Joshua Tree about 2 weeks ago. Coming back from that retreat, Dee was like, babe, I never understood the importance of like your community. I didn't understand. I didn't get it until like this weekend. Like, I see what you're doing. And that really shocked me, right? Because I'm like, what do you mean it took you 6 years to see that? And it wasn't that they didn't see the value of the Beam Life or the incredible impact and the synergy and the excitement. But this was the first time that I hosted a weekend retreat that was specific to business. My international retreats, which are phenomenal and amazing, are really based on experiences and connecting, which are equally as important. But this was a weekend where we stayed in one place and we removed ourselves from our regular lives, and there was 11 of us. So it was big enough to where there was always lots of conversations going around, but small enough to where it felt really safe and intimate. We really went there with the intention to work on our business. But if you know me at all, you know that my philosophy is there is so much more to business than business. Business is like the gateway drug, if you will, right? Like, it's the thing that gets you excited. It's what you think we're going to be working on. But really, what we're doing here is building incredible community. And it's why I decided to make community and this retreat a really big part of my group coaching program, Ascend. And I did that for 2 reasons. One, I've always wanted to host a retreat like this. And I knew that if I put it into a program that people were paying for, I was now held accountable to like create the thing. So that's just like a sidebar. Tell people and like get people to start paying for something if you've like been sitting on the fence, but that's not what this episode is about. But I knew that I wanted to do this, and so I said, okay, let me just make this as part of it. But then the other reason on why I made this such a huge part of the program is because I know firsthand the magic that happens when women gather. And not just gather to chit chat, but gather with an intention, gather with a purpose, and gather with a little bit of mystery. You see, like none of these women, there was a total of 11, right? 5 are in the program. And then the remaining came from other people in the community who are also building businesses and said, hey, I want to be a part of this retreat also. So the group that was in Ascend, like they had obviously had calls together, they knew each other, but the other women coming had no context. They basically knew me and they had trust in the coaching and the skills and obviously thought they were coming to work on their business. And so none of these women really knew each other outside of the Zoom room, or had like any, knowing of each other at all until I started the group chat. So I feel like what's really cool about this community in general is that these women come from very different walks of life. They've all experienced very different things. They have different sources of joy. They have some are married, some are not married. They have different traumas that have been part of the upbringing. They're at different parts of their business. But the common thing was the Beam Life. And the Beam Life, as you know, stands for Be Everything and More. And every single woman that came to that retreat and that really is attracted to this community is craving more. And I think that this is what Dee was really talking about when they said, like, I saw the more. I saw finally what the more could be for someone and how that's so tangible because, of course, we all want more, right? Like, as driven, ambitious women, like that's what we crave. But it's not just like more material success, which yes, I want that as well, but it's more connection. And what was so cool is that during the retreat itself, we had these hot seat moments. And on paper, that looks pretty boring, right? It's where you get to present to your about your business to the group and ask the group for help. And so I feel like everyone knew what we were doing, but they hadn't experienced a hot seat before or like a mastermind type style environment. And because I knew the women coming and where they all came from and the vast experience that was in the room, I feel like the attendees became so close through that moment because when you're in that hot seat, the attention is on you. And depending on if you like that or not, it can feel really uncomfortable. And for a lot of these women, this was the first time that they were really getting this time to be like, this is your time. This is your hour. Like, you have no kids interrupting you. You have no emails interrupting you. You have nobody asking anything of you. In fact, everyone's listening to you. Like, that is such the heartbeat of a solid community is like, do you have people listening to you? And then the hard part comes, right? Because when you're in the hot seat, you then have to tell the group, I'm not telling them for you. You have to ask, what do you need in your business right now? Where do you need support? How can we support you? And as a coach, of course, I am mentoring on some of that, but so much of that hot seat was other members of this community pouring into the recipient, right? And sharing with them like what had worked for them in their business. Something that as women it's hard to admit, like we want people to see us. We want to be seen so badly. So badly. We want to be seen as someone who is trying to make an impact, someone who's trying to make a change. And often that gets covered up really quickly or it's not said enough. And so, what was really beautiful is that every single person who sat in that hot seat got to really be seen and then were given words on how they are seen and where they see their magic. And what was so cool, like I said, they all came in mostly as strangers. Even the group that is together in a coaching setting, it's not like they hang out all the time in person. Like we see each other as part of the weekly coaching calls, but it's online and it's just different. And so what was so awesome is that there was this really big moments of vulnerability, which if you're an ambitious, driven woman, like this is how we like to be perceived, right? Strong and put together and confident. We feel as though vulnerability can often, especially in a group of women, if you haven't been taught what it feels like to be safe in a group of women, you can think, my God, these women are going to eat me alive. I just showed them my vulnerability, my weakness, and it was so the opposite. It's how these bonds were formed because, a majority of the retreat, everybody's getting an hour. So a lot of the time, it's not like we were sitting around for hours and hours. That was like bonding time. Those hot seats became the bonding. And I was blown away within 2.5 days. These women who probably would never be friends if they just met randomly, and not because of any other reasons other than they have like different interests. They are all like, I'm not sure we would be friends just because, but because now we know each other and we've seen each other and we've like opened up to one another and we've cried and we've primal screamed. We did do some primal screams in the desert, but like I said, what happens at retreats on Beam Retreats stays on Beam Retreats. I'm not going to spill the tea. But because of these really beautiful moments, they're all like, I no longer want to live and do business without you. And that is why, like, I am a huge believer. It's so much more than community. Again, there's that word more, right? This is about getting in person. So much in this industry, the words like get in the room, get in the room, get in the room. It's not about just getting in the room. That is a term that'll be used to sell you to get into the event, to get proximity to these like really amazing people that are speaking on stage, and that's all fabulous. Like, trust me, I have invested in a lot of different events to get me in the room. But just because you're in the room doesn't mean that you're going to be seen. And let's be real, that's what you want. You want to be seen and you want to be heard. You also want collaboration opportunities, an opportunity to like deeply connect and also be like, is this a good idea? What do you think? How would you like, not what would you pay for this, but like, if I did it at this price and it was so funny, is like everyone was like, I would pay like 5 times whatever it is you're pitching. Right. And so we gave each other confidence in that way. But again, it's more than getting in the room. It's being in person. It's allowing yourself to be seen and then receiving what is coming back. And those things can only be done in an environment that fosters trust, in an environment that feels safe, that is curated for these types of moments. Because I know because not only of the feedback that I've gotten from this retreat, but I just witnessed like every single woman left there a different person. Every single one of them. And yes, we worked on business, but who they became as they are now going to go out into the world and lead these businesses is what I deeply care about. Because you can have the best business on paper, and if you have no one to share that with, no one to collaborate with, because we are solopreneurs at the end of the day, right? Like every single one of us owns our business and a few of us have partnerships. If you have a partner, like I feel like that can make things a little bit easier sometimes. But even then, you're like, I want different ideas outside of just the partnership. I want to expand. I want to hear. I want to tap into source, right? And you can only do that when you remove yourself from the daily demands and put yourself in a safe environment with other, in this case, women that can really hold you and hold space for you. I want to invite you that if you are listening to this and you're like, damn, that would feel really, really good. Like, I've been wanting to be witnessed and I've been wanting to play and laugh and connect and grow my business at the same time, because who the fuck doesn't want to grow their business? If you're listening to this, I know that's what you want, but I think you're coming about it from the way of like, let me, put my nose to the ground and just hustle and grind and I got this. And truth is, like, you got it only until a certain point, and then like it's going to stop because you need wings, right? I always think about like the Enneagram, and I used to think that in the Enneagram, you could only use one wing, right? So I'm an 8, and I thought, okay, I'm either leaning into my 7 or 9, and I never identified so much with the 9 wing. But it wasn't until I had an Enneagram coach that was like, Kaitlin, you get both wings. Like, you don't just have to have, you don't just have one, you have both the 9 and the 7. And then there's all these other things, but this is not an Enneagram podcast. But it's just an example of you have you, right? And then your wings are your more, are your community, are the women that are going to uplift you when shit gets hard and validate that it's fucking hard. I think so much of the times we are only looking at people who have done the thing we want to do, and they are on chapter 10 and we are just getting started writing the book. And so it makes context hard, and they were at one time at the very beginning, right? But now they're on chapter 10 and we're trying to like catch up and figure out how they did that, when in reality they have grown their wings and you are looking at them from a different vantage point. So I want to encourage you, please tap into this Beam Life community. And if one of the first places you can start is just by getting on the email list, because I share things all the time. I will be relaunching Ascend soon, but this is not a podcast to pitch you Ascend. It is a podcast to encourage you to come into the Beam Life. I'm also getting ready to launch the next retreat. I'm not going to tell you where yet. That is coming. It'll be launching very, very, very soon. So that'll be fun. And I also do free community things. Like I do walking groups. I do book clubs. And we're going to be doing a lot more of these weekend retreats and events. And there's just lots of ways for you to not just get in the room, but get in person, get tapped in, get connected, because you and your business and basically your entire life will be better because of it. So hopefully there wasn't a much need of convincing, because this is truly, in my opinion, the number one strategy to anything is like building yourself a really kick-ass, incredible, more community. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go find your more and tap into the Beam Life community.
Please like and subscribe.
And as always, if you liked this episode, please subscribe, like, share, all of the things, because it really helps a podcast like this get into the hands and the ears of women who desperately need this message. So thank you again for spreading the good word and for being here.